This evening I am out here in my garden, and well, as you can see, I don't have a garden this year. And that's because I'm planning on building raised beds in this area and converting my garden over from kind of a traditional victory garden style with straight rows to raised beds. So in order to do that, the first thing that I want to do is put down wheat cloth. Now normally I'm not a fan of wheat cloth, but in the case of keeping weeds from popping up in around my raised beds, I want to put down wheat cloth and a blanket of mulch here. But before I could do that, I had to deal with a very invasive species of grass that was growing in this section of the garden. And that is Johnson grass. It is super hard to kill. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So here I have some Johnson grass that I pulled up out of a nearby field. It was introduced all the way back in the early 1800s into the US. And the name is credited to a colonel that owned a plantation in Alabama in the 1840s. And he thought that it would be good for cattle to feed on, because in northern Africa, where it's native to, that's what the cattle ate there. But of course, you know, it was kind of the only thing growing in that area, so they didn't have much choice. And unfortunately, in the US, where there are other choices for cattle to eat, they didn't care very much for Johnson grass. And also, something that can happen with Johnson grass in the summertime is if it becomes wilted during drought conditions, its leaves actually produce hydrogen cyanide, which can poison cattle and horses. But what makes this weed such an invasive species is its root system. It uses rhizomes to spread. So here we can see a rhizome coming off, and this would normally be underground. So it basically shoots off these other shoots, and then more Johnson grass pops up from it. So you can cut off the plant and think that you've killed it, but the rhizome underground is just continuing to grow, and more Johnson grass will pop up elsewhere. Unfortunately, the only thing that will kill Johnson grass is glyphosate, also known as Roundup, which recently it's gotten some bad press, but right now it is literally the only thing that we have to fight Johnson grass and to kill it. That is for the moment, because in Asia, they've actually had glyphosate resistant varieties of Johnson grass pop up. So that's something that I forgot to mention too. It's native to Asia and northern Africa, but Johnson grass is so invasive that it's spread literally all over the world. It's on every single continent except for Antarctica.
So what I did to simplify putting down the wheat cloth is I pre-purchased ready-made sections of wheat cloth. So I've got 3 sections to put down, and the way I ordered it, it already came with the pins to hold it in place. So my plan is to start here and then kind of overlap them going this way, because most of the wind that I get tends to come from that direction. So until I get the mulch put in place, that should help hold it down. And then I'm also going to put some weights up on this side to help hold it down. So let me go ahead and start getting this spread out. Alright, one of the benefits of buying this ground cloth already pre-cut is that they used a hot knife to cut it with, which has sealed the edges. So that should help prevent this from unraveling over time. However, I am going to fold under the edge before driving in the pins. And actually, I want to go like that on this corner. Okay, so what I'm doing with each subsequent row is I'm going to go off one of the lines here to help line it up, but I'm going to overlap it. And I'm also continuing to bend over the exposed edges. So on my final one, I'll actually have two sides that I'm bending over. Ooh, and that is thick to drive through. Alright, so I got this first row in. I've got two more to do, but as you can see, I'm starting to lose daylight. I'm doing this in the evening because it's a little bit cooler right now, and also it's not windy. I've been trying to do this project for weeks now, and it seems like every time I would pick a day and be like, ah, yeah, I could do it, it would be super windy. So right now the conditions are great to do this, it's just that I'm losing daylight. But as you can see, I've got this first section in, and I didn't pull it extremely tight. I left it kind of loose. And the reason why I did that is because where this was plastic, it'll expand and contract with temperature changes. And it being a warm day out, even right now, I'm sitting here burning up. It's close to 90 degrees right now. I know that whenever we get into wintertime and it gets really cold out, that this is really going to contract. So I wanted to leave some slack in it. And well, I've got two more sections to do, and I'm going to set up the camera for a time lapse. And we're in a race now against the sunset. So let me go ahead and get started on the rest of this.